All right, hello, Pile One, and welcome to your Denial Buster reading. Now, before we get into the reading, I do have to talk a little bit about the reading itself because I'm realizing through doing this reading for myself that by definition, this reading is meant to point something out that we are in denial of. And the psyche, being what it is, isn't going to just magically accept something because a reading said so. The reading, of course, is meant to help point that out so that we can then do the work to be more aware of that. I'm saying that because through my own experience doing this reading for myself, I realized that I as soon as I saw it and I understood the reading, I denied it because I was like, no, this isn't true. And then it's like, wait, but that's the point of the denial buster. And so I have been sitting with my own reading for a couple of days now and kind of looking for the evidence of what the reading was pointing out. And lo and behold, it was there once I knew what I was looking for. And so by definition, this reading should be something that if you're immediately like, no, that's not true, okay, of course, any reading that's general on the internet, that's always a possibility that it's not for you. But the whole point, again, of the Denial Buster reading is to point something out that you are denying. And denial is ego's favorite comfort blanket. So it's going to be something that the psyche and the ego really, really grasps onto. And so I'm just saying these things so that as you're watching this reading, you just remember that so that you're not just dismissing it all. That being said, I'm doing this reading in two parts where the first part really is meant to be a confirmation for you that this pile really is for you so that when the denial buster part comes, which is the second part, you're not completely like, is this for me or is it not? And there's not that extra layer of confusion of is this general online reading that accurate for me? Some details about that first part is it really is just meant to be a confirmation of you being at the right pile. So whatever comes through in this first part doesn't necessarily have to, have anything to do with the denial that we're sitting in. It really is just meant for you to confirm, am I in the right pile? Of course, tarot being what it is, it's very likely that it will attach itself to what the denial is about, but that doesn't necessarily have to be true. Okay, that being said, and then just for complete clarity, I am recording this part before I've even shuffled the cards or looked at anything for the second part, which is what you're in denial of. And I'm doing that on purpose so that I'm not allowing the denial buster portion influence the way that I'm interpreting and delivering the message to you about this first part, which is just a confirmation for you. Okay. All of that being said, hi, welcome to your reading. This part is your confirmation, which should confirm if you're in the right reading. We've got friendship. I mean, look at these cards. If you're not looking at them, we've got an oracle card that says friendship. It has two arrows crossing each other, kind of like an X. They're forming an X, two arrows. Like arrows like for a bow and arrow, like arrows that you shoot with a bow. And then there's three tarot cards. It's going to be the Three of Cups reversed. It's a pip deck, so it's just the three cups depicted in the card. And then we have the King of Wands, and then we have the Page of Cups reversed. To describe the King of Wands, this deck really... the point of the deck is that it is meant to be a recreation of the traditional Marseille deck, but it takes on the influence of the Berlin club scene of modernity. And so it depicts the people in the deck very sexy. If it's just for lack of a better term, they're attractive people. Like every single person drawn in this deck is very attractive. And so the King of Wands is very hunky, very muscular, very there's a lot of skin showing. And he's holding his wand between very open legs. And the way that he's holding it is very reminiscent of the way that a man would hold his member. I'm trying to keep it clean and censored because the overlords are very weird about certain things. I digress. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm just describing these cards to you. Then we have the Page of Cups reversed. The Page of Cups, it's kind of like an androgynous looking individual. All pages are meant to look the most youthful. And so it's not that this Page of Cups looks like a child so much as there's this understanding that they're youthful. They're not as old as, like, let's say the kings and the queens look. And they're wearing this like blue flowy outfit, and they're holding a cup, and it would appear that they're like pondering upon this cup, basically. Okay, to get into the actual reading itself, the Three of Cups. Okay, I mean, I'm not going to talk about, we don't need to get into the specifics of what these cards mean. You're here for the reading. Point blank, what these cards are saying is you've got the hots for a friend. That's just the confirmation. If that is true for you, hey, hi, welcome. You are at your right reading. These cards are basically saying you are attracted to a friend. And it's a pretty intense attraction because it's one that has left you in a state of understanding that you definitely want more than friendship. Like a friendship just isn't enough. And another aspect to this reading is that there's some form of denial about this attraction. Now, who's denying it is going to depend. It could be you who's not fully accepting this attraction, maybe because you recognize that it's like, I've been friends with this person so long, like I don't want to risk anything because I respect the friendship, even though you have clearly understood friendship isn't enough for you here. On the other hand, it could be that you register that they're resistant to your attraction. So it could be like you can tell that they're not as accepting of your attraction, or you're registering that they're attracted to you, but they're self-denying. They're not willing to like fully accept their attraction, if not also your attraction for them as well. So you're going to have to kind of like play with that a little bit and see what fits. Like, please don't let this be like a delusional thing where you like someone and me saying what I just said is like, oh, then that means they like me too. No. That part is only true if you yourself know, like you can tell that they like you back and they're just holding back for whatever reason. Like, don't let this reading be of like, oh, this means that they like me back. No, 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 no. If you haven't seen that, don't let this reading make up that truth for you. That part is only true if you yourself know, you can tell that like the attraction is mutual. It's just that there's some denial going on, whether on both of your parts or just theirs. Okay, that's all I have for these cards. I kind of just want to point out also that it's really interesting that the friendship card here is depicted with like arrows of a bow, and like Cupid comes to mind. So there's obviously like a very intense attraction. Why? Because Cupid is the god of desire. And so this is like really the words that are coming through, and this is very intense, but the words that are coming through is like you very much feel like you need this person. It's not just that you want this person, it's that you like need this person. So, okay, hi. If that's true for you, welcome to your Denial Buster reading. I cannot wait to see what it is that you're denying. Gonna scream laughing. You're not gonna hear it because I'm gonna scream laughing when I like look at the cards. If it's about this attraction and that we're actually picking up on your own denial of this attraction, I'm just saying that's gonna be hilarious if that's what we're talking about. But anyways, let's get into that next part. All right, so for right now, we are only focusing on the top portion of this reading. For those listening, we have two rows here. The top row has a single oracle card followed by 3 Lenormand cards. These cards will be answering the question of the denial itself, what we are in denial of. And then the following row is going to be 5 tarot cards answering not so much a question, so much as just providing advice for you at this moment on how to deal with all of this. Okay. To get into what you are in denial of, we have the Poet card reversed. The Poet card features a hand not so much fully grasping this, like these leaves. It's very loose. It's like they're letting these leaves, these flowers kind of loose from their hands. I'm not interpreting too much into the symbolism so much as the energy of the poet itself reversed. And the card itself has 2 definitions of it. The secondary one is the one that applies to the reversal, and that secondary definition here is vulnerability. To move into the Lenormand cards, I want to talk a little bit about, okay, well, we have the stars. Oh my god, hold I'm not looking at them, that's why. I need to look at... We have stars, lily, and man. Okay. What I wanted to talk about is how there's a certain structure to the way that these cards are like painted and how they depict what they're about. And to kind of describe the lily card, and before I actually get to the description of the lily card, I kind of just want to point out that most of the cards in this deck take on this very artistic way of framing the image itself. What I mean by that is that in the lily card, it features a woman holding up a lily and she's smelling it. And then there's this bigger lily superimposed like over her. Right, but like it's towards the bottom, like at her waist, so it's not covering her or anything. But you can definitely tell that it's not a lily that's growing where she is because it's a lot bigger than a normal lily would be. Like the regular lily that's in her hand, that's the one that's like that she's holding, that's proportionate to her. And then there's this bigger lily at the bottom of the card. And then the artistic framing that I'm talking about is that the background, which is a sky, like blue and cloudy, it only covers the bottom portion of the card, and then it's almost like this curve that goes into like halfway up of the card, right around where her shoulder is. It cuts off the sky, and there's this like border around that part of the sky, and then behind her head and the hand holding the flower up to her nose, there's this now different background within a circle border. And that background itself has a whole bunch of lilies behind it. And so that's that very artistic framing that I'm talking about in this card. And then the man card features this guy, and he takes up most of the card, and there's this archway that he's within. And on both sides of this archway are two pillars that are very clearly not part of the archway that he's standing within, because the art in it is very different. It just doesn't fit in with the rest of the art of the guy in the archway that he's like standing in. Why am I spending so much time talking about the details of these cards? Because the stars card allows for the subject matter of the card itself, which is the stars, to take up most of the card itself. And so instead of having like this big star superimposed the character, or having just the stars itself take up a part of the card. No, it actually lets it take up most of the card itself. And yes, there's a figure at the center, and she takes up a big portion of the card itself too. But the stars themselves, it's almost like they break the barriers that are kind of placed on the other cards themselves. And why that's important to me is because that is part of the denial here and you know, I kind of was onto something when I said that we were going to be touching in on this attraction that we were touching on in the first portion of this reading. Because poet itself, that the poet card came up reversed, and that's about vulnerability, and the fact that the man card came up makes this undeniably about romantic connection. And because the first portion was about the attraction that you have to a friend, and because, spoiler alert, in the tarot portion, the Three of Cups reversed returns, it's undeniable that what you're in denial of is, wow, I did not mean to use deny so much there. What you are in denial of is maybe not the attraction itself, but just how big, how impactful this attraction has been to you. And that's why the stars itself, and that the fact that the stars kind of like break the mold that the rest of the cards kind of like establish. Stars itself is a card of our innermost desires. It's like wishing on a star. It's that energy of like, it's what I really, really want, and I'm really, really hoping for this. And so that's this attraction that you have to this friend of yours. And it's an attraction that you are starting to recognize. Like if you really, you're not starting to recognize it because you're in denial of, but what these cards are trying to point out to you is that like if you really like pay attention, it's more than just an attraction. Like this person has actually like influenced the way that you are maybe thinking, if not like moving through the world. And the clearer you are on that, it's not that it's going to make any of this easier. In fact, it's kind of looking like the reason you are denying this is because the just how impactful this attraction has been to you might make you scared. It might make you nervous because you may or may not have never had this experience before. And maybe if you had, it maybe didn't go super well. Or maybe there's other circumstances as to why you're denying this so much. But okay, let's go back to the poet reversed and vulnerability. I want to take a second to put ourselves in the shoes of, if not an actual poet, some type of performer. But for the sake of clarity and for this metaphor, let's talk about it being we're stepping into the shoes of a poet. And on this night, this poet, us, we will be performing one of our newest, or our new poem. The details don't matter, whether we're a known poet and people who are going to show up know us, or whether we're a new poet and we're doing an open mic night. It doesn't matter. The point is tonight we are going to be performing. We are going to be speaking our new poem. Okay, now, I guess it depends on if we are a seasoned performer or not, because if we're a seasoned performer, we're not going to be super nervous about this because, we've done this before. And if we've never done this before, well, we are going to be nervous because we've never done this before. But even if you are seasoned, the fact that it's a new poem might then add that layer of nerves here. And that's what I'm trying to point out, is that the poet reversed is really talking about the nerves surrounding this attraction. And the way that it's coming through is that it's not just the nerves that we all get when we're confronting very real feelings that we have developed for someone. It's not just that. It is actual nerves around the thing itself. There's something about this individual that really, really does make you nervous. Now, of course, part of that is the fact that you're risking a friendship to pursue something more. That is going to make anybody nervous. I feel like that's righteous. I feel like that's a good thing. That means that you actually do value the friendship, and that's a good thing. But it goes beyond that. The way that it's coming through here, to complete the metaphor, is that out in that crowd tonight is going to be the person that this poem is about. And that's the point of the poet reversed here, is what does it take for a poet to stand up there, for a performer to go up there and do their thing in front of the person that they fear being most vulnerable around? Courage. At the end of the day, it's courage. And what this card is pointing to, what it's asking you is, what is it going to take? What is it going to take for you to have the courage to pursue this? What is it going to take for you to have the courage to accept the attraction, the impact of it, all of it, really? Because there seems to be, it seems to be like not as simple as like, yeah, I like this person, I'm attracted to this person. There seems to be severe layers to this, to the point where like that's why it's making you nervous, because this isn't just an everyday attraction. This is huge. This is big for you. Okay, we've talked about stars already, and kind of like that being about, your hopes and desires. I'm not going to spend too much time now talking about that because we already did. But I'll return to it because of what it says what it says with all three cards together. But to kind of move it into Lily. Lily is like purity and vulnerability. Purity here meaning the purest essence of your feelings. Like at the core, like how you really, really feel about this person, which is these genuine feelings, this genuine desire for more with this person. And so that attached with stars, it's like these are your hopes and your feelings for this person. Not just the feelings that you have for them, but the hopes of where it could go, where you want it to go, what it could possibly mean. And I think that that's why like it makes you so nervous, is because you actually do recognize the genuine compatibility, that with this person, things could actually go all the way. Now, whether this is because they meet your criteria, or whether it's because you know this person well enough to know that you also meet their criteria, like, I don't know, but there's something about it where it's like, nah, this could be the real deal. Like, I actually really want to go all the way with this person. And so that this is what you're in denial of is like, okay, well, you know that you're attracted to this person. Why you might not want to sit with it too long is because if you do, you might recognize just how much you genuinely do like this person. And so with man here, it's like the denial is, okay, Man being here is partially what the message is that you are in denial of the fact that you do want to reveal your feelings to this person. Now, this person doesn't have to be male. That doesn't matter. There is a card in this deck that is a lady. Regardless of which one would have shown up, I would have interpreted the same because they're honestly interchangeable with each other. It's just meant to like help the specific querent understand who we're talking about. But because this is an online general reading, regardless of whether it would have been the man or lady, it would have been the same. This card is pointing to the person that you are attracted to, that you like, your friend here. And so it's like stars and then Lily, and then we have them. So it's like you being vulnerable in front of them. And so the denial here, it's kind of a two-part message, and the second part might be a little hard to hear, so brace yourself now. But the first part is what I just said, where it's like, the first part doesn't necessarily have to be true for all of you, but that message of the denial is that you want to tell them. That maybe in the past you've been kind of like, okay, like, it can't happen, or I'm not willing to risk it, so I'm just going to bear this cross and I'm never going to tell them. And what this reading is basically pointing out is that, like, that's not true. Like, it's no longer enough for you. You, at this point, if you can't have something with them, that you are going to have to exit their lives, because it's not enough for you to be friends with them. That's just simply not going to cut it for you. So at this point, you're being asked to accept that this is where you're at, where it's like, okay, I'm willing to just accept rejection because I can no longer accept just being your friend. Now, that's really intense, and don't let me make up truths for you if that's not true. That's why I said that first message might not be true for you. But this second part, again, which is a little hard to hear, is going to be true for all of you. Okay, brace yourself. I'm going to hold your hand energetically when I say this. Part of the denial here, and it's very clear because, again, we have stars, and then Lil, that's you, and then we have the man here who is looking directly at these things. Part of the denial here is that they know. You might not want to see that because it just might be too embarrassing to see, like, fuck. No, hun. If you really pay attention to the way that they handle themselves around you and the certain decisions that they make, they know. They can see you and the way that you feel. And so you kind of have to do with that what you will. What does that say about this person? If they know how you feel, like, ask yourself then, how have they been acting? Have they been maybe not as close with me? Like, have I made them nervous? Like, are they not super open to this because they just don't want this? Have they maybe, in some instances, maybe like flirted back? Like, what does that mean? If they know and they're flirting back and they know how they feel about it, like, are they trying to do, you have to be very careful here. Like, don't allow your delusions to take you somewhere like take you somewhere that, isn't true. Like, only take factual based things. And if none of that's happened, then maybe now's the time to start putting out those feelers so that you can see how they're acting. Pay attention to the way that they handle themselves around you, so that, like, now that, the card is basically telling, like, yeah, and they know how you feel, pay attention. Like, how are they handling you? And let that communicate to you how they feel, how they're feeling about the whole thing, and then allow that to then inform the way that you're going to move forward, which is what the tarot portion is all about. Now, before we continue into that, I do need a drink of water, so I am going to do that real quick. Hold on. Okay, so the tarot portion is a bit of a doozy. I'm not going to lie to you. Especially not for all of you, because this first part of the message isn't going to be for all of you, but I do think it's going to be for most of you. The fact that we have the Three of Cups reversed, returning, now really adds a layer to what the Three of Cups is kind of saying before, in the first portion. And again, don't let me make up truths for you. This is only, you're going to know if this is true, okay? We have part of why this person might not be super open to, if you're registering that they're a little, they're not sure about you. It might be because they can see how many options you're entertaining. And if it's not that, then they definitely are under the impression that you are not as serious about them as you clearly are. The Three of Cups traditionally in a love reading is one of an additional party to the two. Even when we are talking about a polyamorous situation, the Three of Cups reversed would indicate someone outside of the, I don't know what, the group, the main group of polyamory. I'm so sorry, I don't know the terms. It's someone outside of that, someone that the people within the polycule, if that's what the word, I'm gonna have to Google this. Fuck. Someone that they would recognize as like, yeah, no, that's cheating. Okay, so for those specific few of you who you are in a relationship and it's not with this friend, it's very, we can't, that's why they're not doing anything, because they know that you are in a relationship. Or they think that you are. And then for those of you who know who you are, and you know how you move, and you know how you do things, that's why. It's because they can see that, you are who you are. Do with that what you will. Now, to get into the rest of the reading, the Ace of Cups here next to the Three of Cups reversed. And honestly, the fact that it's here with the Sun. The Ace of Cups is telling you, you really need to just embrace the fact that you have feelings for this person. And that's kind of what it's a supporting of the message that was being said with the vulnerability with Stars and Lily and the Poet reversed, where it's like, just, you do need to start embracing that. If you want for this, okay, I have to be very careful with this message, because it's like, there's no guarantee that this person, your friend, is going to accept you. There's just no guarantee. It's an online general reading. There's no way for me to confirm that for you, because it's going to be different for all of you. The point is, spoiler alert, at the end of the day, sitting in your cowardice of not wanting to do anything because you're too scared to rock the boat is the worst thing for you to do, because it's only harming you. And so the point of this message is to get you to do something. That's the whole point. Now, what that means for each of you is going to differ, and that's why we're going to be talking about those different messages right now. But at the end of the day, that's what the message is for you. You have to do something. Not doing anything is why you're suffering. It's only going to lead to harm for you. So you need to do something. And if doing something means that you lose this individual, well, hey, we've established a friendship is not enough for you. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And so the Ace of Cups here is like, just embrace the fact that you like this person. The Three of Cups reversed is basically a reiteration of what was being said. What I've been saying this whole time is that, like, friendship just isn't enough for you. But for the specific few of you that this person knows that you're either with someone else or entertaining your options, you have to start demonstrating this person that they are who you want. That they're who you want, that they're who has your focus, that they're who has your attention. Because until you do that, this person is not going to take you seriously. That's why we have the Ace of Cups upwards, the singular cup, and then we have the Three Cups reversed, you denying them. And so that has to be clear. For you, it has to be an energetic thing where, like, you have to accept that. You have to accept that you want this person, and that, yeah, you might be attracted to, like, all these other people or that other person or whatever the case might be. But at the end of the day, if this is the person that you want, get serious about it. Because, I mean, what do you get from not taking it seriously? You're only, like, playing with yourself. And then if your friend has feelings for you too, and this is how you're deciding to play about it, one, you don't deserve that person. And two, like, that's just misery, breeding more misery. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but if that's what you're doing, grow up. No one deserves to be brought into that turmoil because you don't know how to emotionally regulate yourself. Sorry to tell you that. Don't let that be true if it's not for you. Like, only a hit dog hollers. But okay, the Sun. At the center of the spread, the Sun itself is the card of truth embraced fully. So this starts to touch in on what I was picking up earlier about the nerves surrounding this and what exactly about this person makes you nervous. Now, to some degree, what I'm getting from all these cards is that there's something about this individual that you recognize levels you up. Not in terms of they're going to be something that gives you an advantage. No, it's in terms of you recognize that this friend makes you act differently, makes you act better. They make you better. And that might be part of, like, what makes you so nervous about them. If it's something about, like, the circumstance about this person that makes you nervous, whether it's like just an example, like a cultural difference. Like, let's say this is an individual, your family your friends might not fully embrace, or vice versa. You know that their family, their culture, whatever the case might be, their friends might not fully embrace you, or society might not embrace you altogether. Whatever the case is, the sun is just like, okay, but this is my truth. Like, my truth is more important. This is what I want. This is who I want. I'm done denying it, because denial isn't doing anything for me. And so these three cards together, the Ace of Cups, the Three of Cups reversed, and then the Sun, it's like, it's not just accepting the truth of this person's impact, the feelings that you have for them. It's also an embracing and acceptance of your own truth of what it means to want this individual, whatever that means. Again, translate that however it applies. To move into the last two cards, we have the Queen of Pentacles, and then we have the Knight of Wands. If I'm not mistaken, neither of these are reversed, right? Yeah, no. I want to point out how these cards, the way that they kind of pan out, the Queen of Pentacles is looking towards the Knight of Wands, and the Knight of Wands is facing the Queen herself. So they're like moving towards each other. Now, to some degree, both of these cards are you. To some degree, and only in some cases, is the Knight of Wands your friend. But the Queen of Pentacles is basically telling you, the Queen of Pentacles is someone who focuses on what is right in front of them. Best example, mundane example that I can give you of Queen of Cups energy is someone who like knows that they need to like really lock in for the next 6 months, whether it's like on their diet, their workout, their current work or school project, the semester, whatever it is. It's really locking in to generate the results that you want. The Queen of Pentacles is vastly rewarded for the dedication that she puts into her craft and her work, etc., her efforts, basically. So that, because of the three cards that are coming out before the Queen of Pentacles, it's like you embracing your feelings for this person, you, and if it applies, you taking this person seriously and demonstrating to them that, you know, it's them that you're focused on. And then, you know, embracing the truth of the sun, which could represent just the attraction for this person, if not other truths involving the nerves around this person, which is like, again, cultural differences, whatever it may be, whatever truth you need to accept about the attraction, about what the attraction to this person means about you. Like really dedicating yourself to that and taking it seriously, that will generate results. And so the Knight of Wands in that case is the result, which is the Knight of Wands is courage. The Knight of Wands is someone who goes for what they want because they are someone who is just, they have this lust for life, and they have just so much faith in life and in themselves that they know, like, even if this doesn't go right, there's so much love and like abundance in the world that like there's more for me out there. There's just someone who just knows things are going to go right for them no matter what goes down. They have a lot of faith in themselves. And so should you really take all of this seriously, what we've been talking about, the result is courage. Now, of course, because of what we've been talking about, this could be the courage to pursue this friend, the courage to really be like, hey, this is how I feel. What are we going to do about it? Obviously, you're going to it shouldn't be that simple. Like, please be more delicate. But the point is, the result is the courage to do what it is that you need to do. At a bigger picture, it could be that this whole experience is really meant to help you form this courage so that you now have this courage to wield in other aspects and areas of your life. Cool. Now, where the Knight of Wands is indicative of your friend, the person that you have feelings for, this is only going to be true for some of you. So don't come back here and get mad at me if like, it didn't work, it didn't happen how you said. Look, I said for some of you. The Knight of Wands is basically saying, the way that it's facing the Queen of Pentacles, and we've established that the Queen of Pentacles is you, regardless of gender. Should you take all of this seriously? And I feel like this is especially true for those of you who, when I said that you are entertaining other options and or you have someone that you're with, should you really demonstrate to this person that you're serious about it and, you know, et cetera, then lo and behold, this person will come to you. And you won't have to reveal anything because they already know, and they if they're recognizing your efforts, then they'll come to you. Like, they'll be like, oh, okay, you're serious about it. I like you too. Cool, let's do it. Again, not going to be true for all of you, but it is true for some of you. It's very much there in the cards. Okay, very big reading. I know lots of scary stuff, but also really good stuff too in there. Um, I do have to say, for those of you, because again, that's not going to be true for all of you, where you know that it's just not possible with this person for whatever reason. Then again, take that message of like, then this is help. This is all happening to help you shape a courage that you can then wield in other aspects of your life. It's like, that's the point at the end of the day, is to show you that remaining stagnant, not doing something about these very big feelings, like, you actually gain more from doing something about it. And that's the whole point of all of this. For some of you, you'll get the greatest possible outcome, which is doing something about it will get you this person. Again, that's not going to be true for all of you. And for those of you for who it's not true, don't take it as a consolation prize that all you get is your courage. Girl, that is huge. Don't spit and poo-hoo at your accomplishments. Like, who's to say that for those, and I'm sorry to say this, but like, who's to say that just because those people who do end up with their friends, that doesn't mean it's going to like be successful. And that's true for those of you who like, it is true that you're going to end up with this person. Like, love and friendship alone does not a successful relationship make. It takes a lot more. It's a complex thing. And so I'm just putting that out there, just at the end of the day, the point is to get you to do something about it. That's the whole point here. That's the whole point of you dealing with this denial and doing something about it. I really hope that this helped. Godspeed. And I hope to catch you in another reading. Okay, bye. Hello, Pile 2, and welcome to your Denial Buster reading. Now, before we get into the reading itself, I do have to take a little bit of time to talk about the reading itself, because it does require a little bit of extra work on your end. All tarot readings do require work on your part, but this one takes a few extra steps. And I'm coming to this realization. I've done this reading in the past, but I don't know that I accounted for this the last time that I did, where when I did this reading for myself, and any reading that I post, I do for myself before I post it. When I did it for myself, I immediately, when I read the cards, I was like, oh no, this isn't true. Like, this isn't me. And then immediately, as soon as I thought that, clocked onto the fact that it's like, well, this is a denial buster reading. Like, the point is that you're in denial of it. And I was really confronted with the fact that, the psyche and the ego, they like denial. It's a safety blanket for them. And so I took my time in interpreting my reading for myself, and I sat with it for a couple of days. I've been sitting with it for a couple of days, and now that I knew what to look for, I did actually find that the reading read true. It was something that like I was in denial of, and now that I was looking for it, it's like, well, shit, there it is. So that being said, I did make it so that for this reading, it's a 2-part reading. So the first part right here is going to basically just be a confirmation that you're at the right pile. So this part doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the second portion, which is going to be that denial buster, which is what you're here for. It, again, just serves the purpose of making sure that you're at the right pile, so that when you get to that denial buster portion, you can know that you're at the right reading. And if you're like, no, that's not me, well, you confirmed that you're at the right pile because of this first part. And so you can then do what I had to do, which is like look for the evidence of it and then kind of do the work in addressing what you're in denial of. Okay, that being said, we have for you here in this first portion of the reading, which again is just confirmation. And for full disclosure, I am recording this part right here before I've even shuffled the cards or even looked at anything for what your denial is. And I'm doing this deliberately so that I'm not allowing that message to influence the way that I'm interpreting this first portion, which again is only meant to be a confirmation for you. And I don't know if I already said it, but sometimes this first portion will have something to do with the second part of the reading, which is, again, the denial. But it doesn't necessarily have to. But okay, we have for you relief, and then we have the Page of Swords, the 3 of Pentacles reversed, and the 3 of Cups reversed. With relief, we have a symbol, and it's a symbolism oracle deck. Uh, and I just kind of wanted to look at the book to see what the symbol was. And so I'm going to read what the booklet says to you about this particular symbol in case it has something of use for you. It reads, "The end of suffering or hard times, a much needed relief or break in the energy. Miracles, rescue, and reprieve. Meditate on this symbol when all seems too much. Feel it blast out the negative as you call in strength to your heart." And then it says about the symbol itself, it says symbol and strife. I guess end strife is the name of the symbol itself. End strife is an Icelandic magical stave associated with ending suffering and calming anger. Okay, so that's what we've got for you. And then to describe the symbol itself, it looks like a cross. And then at the ends of each of the points, so like if this cross were like a compass that pointed north, south, east, and west, at each of these points, it kind of has like forks. So the vertical line has a very square fork, and then the horizontal line has more rounded lines to it, if that matters to you. And then I do want to spend a little bit of time talking about the way that the Page of Swords is depicted, because traditionally and across the board, most pages of swords are depicted with some sense of discomfort or anxiety or just some type of caution in their facial expression. All pages are indications of engaging with something we're not fully comfortable with, and it being swords, which is about the mentality, it's like something we don't know very much about, like we're learning something. And so the Page of Swords always gives me very much the energy of either like the first day at a new school or the first day at a new job, where you know that you belong here, but because it's your first day and you're learning so much about like the environment and everything that goes on there. If it's a job, like what the expectations of the job. If it's like school, then like where you have to go for class and how that works. And then on top of that, you add the layer of like also learning about like the social dynamics and where you really fit in and everything and all of these things that go on. And so there's all of this information that's coming at you since you're being represented by the Page of Swords. And it's like you're in this space of, it feels like a lack of stability, especially with the two cards that follow it. And so to really get into the reading, relief doesn't necessarily communicate to me that you're it's not saying to me that you're experiencing relief right now. More so, it comes through as you needing relief. You feel a need for relief because things aren't going super great right now. I mean, okay, yeah, we have the Page of Swords, which is again talking about you sitting in a space that you're not super comfortable in because you're learning a whole bunch of different things. You're not feeling super stable in this space, whether it's new or not. There's something that you're currently going through that's really putting you into this space of like, I'm learning a whole bunch of new things and I'm sitting uncomfortably in this new space that all of this knowledge has really put me in. The Three of Pentacles upwards usually denotes a collaborative effort between a whole bunch of people. This could be a workplace. And so that it's coming reversed, it could be at its most severe. It could be that you lost your job. It could be as severe as like not just losing your job, but like losing like your savings, or it just puts you into this tight spot financially. If it wasn't that you lost your job, it could be that something happened in your place of work or at school or this place that you spend a lot of time in. Something might have happened there that has left you in some way, shape, or form ostracized. That could mean a whole bunch of different things, so I'm just going to leave that there. And the fact that we have the Three of Cups reversed supporting this, the Three of Cups upwards is one of friendship and harmony, so then reversed, it's like that dissonance, it's that... it doesn't necessarily have to be hostility, but where there was peace and tranquility before, or harmony, or even just like a lack of just peace, rather. It was just like everything was fine. Now that's all lost. Like, it actually now feels tense. It actually now maybe even feels hostile. And so this is kind of what these cards are saying about where you're at right now. You're feeling like you need some type of relief, because there's just, you seem to have no space in which you feel stable. There seems to be no space in which you feel like secure and like you are at the top in that environment. It's coming through that for some of you, for some select few of you, it is basically like you are also experiencing homelessness. If that is true for you, I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to ask the rest of us who are here, who are not experiencing that hardship, to take a moment with me to energetically send a prayer of love and of safety to whoever is experiencing that. We are going to take 10 seconds to do that now. Okay, so again, that this doesn't necessarily have anything to do with the message here about it being a denial buster. Again, this is just meant to confirm that you are at the right pile. If this is true for you, again, to whatever degree, again, even if it's like to the most extreme, or even if it's that, you know, you are currently experiencing something where nowhere that you go you feel stable in, maybe there's some hostility in your home, in your work environment, whatever the case is, you right now isn't a great time for you. It is very clear with these cards that, like, again, you need relief. And so Godspeed, of course, through that. And I, again, am praying and hoping that that clears up soon. That being said, I will ask that you pause and take a second to sit with that as you need to. But we're now going to be getting into the next portion of the reading, which is going to be what it is that you're denying. Okay. Okay, we have for you to describe the denial that you're currently under, the dancer reversed, the birds, scythe, and dog. The dancer, it basically depicts two hands, and there's this ribbon kind of flowing in and out of both hands. And like, at the arms of these, like arms and hands, the ribbon almost forms like an infinity symbol. And in this particular Lenormand deck, there's it's very artistic in the way that it's drawn, where most Lenormand decks will only depict what the card is. So, like, for example, we have the birds card here. Most Lenormand decks would just depict some birds. But this one in particular makes sure to include some type of person caricature in the card itself. This isn't true for all of the Lenormand, all of the cards in this deck, but it is true for most of them. And so in this particular card, we have this woman at the center of the card and the birds kind of around her. And why I'm making a point to mention this is that her positioning, her pose, is one that is very, very similar, very reminiscent of the pose of the arms in the dancer card. The caricature in the birds card, her arms aren't fully crossed, but they do meet at the wrist. And the one of the poses of the hands, which is kind of like a semi-clasped, almost fisted hand, that's similar in both cards, but the other hand, that's different. I'm just kind of making the point that there's this, it's not lost on me, the similarity between these two cards, and especially since the birds card has nothing really to do with this caricature who's kind of dancing in the center of it. And so it really feels significant that these are the cards that came up. And it really draws my attention to this energy of dancing. Okay, let me elaborate on that. With the dancer reversed, all of the reversals in this deck come with a specific keyword. And that's why at the bottom of the card, which you're seeing at the top because of the reversal, we have two key words. And the keyword for the reversal for dancer is strength. I'm not so much honing in on that keyword, so much as what is really coming to mind as the reversal of the dancer archetype. If the upwards card of the dancer archetype for me would be the performance itself of the dance that any dancer does. So like if I'm thinking of like a ballet dancer, the dancer upwards would be like them having a successful opening night or them performing something that they've been practicing for a really, really long time. And so the reversal to me here does not indicate a failure to meet those requirements so much as it now points the attention instead from the performance towards what led to that perfect performance. So to me, that means the behind the scenes, all of the hours, all of the grueling training and practice and rehearsal that went into that performance, but also all of the work that went into becoming an excellent dancer in the first place. So that's one of the things that is coming through for me with this reversal. But another thing that's coming through is also not just the hardship that went into the performance, a good performance, but then also like the difficulty of the performance itself. It's like the audience only sees the end result from the comfort of their seat, and so they get to enjoy that dance and that performance fully. But it's different for the performer. It's different for the dancer. They're the ones who have to be up there under all of that pressure and pressure not to mess up and to be like perfect in their craft, but then also to make sure that all of their hard work amounts to something. And that's the energy that I'm getting from this reversal. It's asking for us to pay attention to the strengths that you have, how far you've come, everything, like whatever you count as one of your strengths, that's what you're being asked to focus on right now. But also what's being said in terms of like what you are in denial of is the fact that in order to, you're currently sitting in something that will take a lot of effort on your part. It is something that is asking for you to be at your most excellent in order to really maneuver through this safely. Whether or not this message is attached to that first portion of the reading through that hardship, if it is attached to that portion, this is basically saying in order to get yourself out of that, it is going to take that you apply all of your strengths, all of your skills, all of your know-how, because that's the name of the game right now. Even if it's not attached to that, there is something that you're currently sitting in that you need to start accepting isn't going to be as easy as you think it is. It's not something that you can just put on the back burner. It's not really something that you can just, I'll kind of just coast by. No, lock in, put in the effort. It is required. Like in order for you to really succeed through this and get you where you want to go, it is going to require not just minimum effort, hell, not just even some effort. It's going to require your best. And that's kind of what you're sitting in denial of. Like you need to start accepting like this isn't going to be as easy, or like it's not going to get easier if you're not like you just ignoring or running away from everything that you have to deal with and really like have to put your efforts towards. With Scythe, okay, well that's the Dancer Reverse, but Birds is a card that tells me Birds always talks about a lot of people talking about the same thing. So this could be gossip. It could... Okay. I digress. I'll come back to the Birds in a second. Because Scythe next to Dog, Scythe is always talking about ending whatever the energy of the next card is. And Dog is a card of loyalty. And so Scythe next to Dog is basically asking that you put an end to something that you're loyal to. The fact that Birds is here communicates to me a couple of things. On the one hand, the message that's coming through is that there are a lot of people who are aware of the fact that you really should put an end to this thing that you're loyal to. On the other hand, it could be that gossiping energy that the Bird is picking up on is why you need to put an end to this space that you're loyal to. So if we're talking about a workplace that's become hostile, Birds is then the people who have made this place a hostile environment, or if we're not talking about work, but anywhere that's become hostile for you, the Birds could be the people that are making that space hostile. And so Scythe is then advising you to then cut from loyalties either to this friend group or these people or the space entirely. whatever it is that you feel loyal to, and that loyalty to that thing is like costing you something, it's time to put an end to that. And so that's the general message for all of you, regardless of if the denial is attached to that first part or not. The truth for all of you is that there is something that you need to acknowledge your loyalty to is costing you, and that is what you now need to put an end to. If Birds isn't talking about like people itself, then it's the knowledge reaching you. It's something becoming so obvious that you cannot deny it. So start looking for that. Start paying attention to what parts of your life, what spaces, what people leave you feeling drained, leave you feeling like, you know what, I think I would be better off if I wasn't engaging with this person or this space or these people anymore. That's what this denial is. You're like really sitting in denial of what some spaces, some people are costing you, the peace that it's costing you. Maybe, again, if it's attached to that first part, like the relief that these things are costing you, etc., etc. All of that being said, cool. We now know what we're kind of in denial of. The next portion of the reading is advice for you at this time. Let's get into that now. All right. So this entire message has been fairly heavy. The advice portion is no different. I want to point out how the first three cards are kind of one message, and then the last two cards are a separate message, but they do all say something together. Let's just get into it. We're going to start with, to start with the descriptions, we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. There is a woman depicted holding a coin, and she is surrounded by a lush wilderness. Then we have the Two of Swords. It depicts a woman holding two swords. Her arms are crossed and the swords are standing upright. They frame her head rather nicely, and she's standing before a fire that is seemingly growing bigger around her, and behind her there is an ocean and a crescent moon. We then go into the Nine of Pentacles reversed. This depicts a gentleman holding a watermelon, and he seems to be standing in a watermelon grove. Then we have the Three of Swords upwards, which depicts a feathered woman outside in a storm, and she is being pierced by three swords. In the background, we see someone within a home, not standing outside with her in the storm, and we just see their silhouette inside the home, seemingly unaware of our protagonist suffering outside. And then we have the Ten of Cups, which depicts a marriage at the center and the family of the bride surrounding her. This is the Tarot of the Divine, which uses deities and fairy tales and folklore from around the world to depict the tarot. And I say that because in the Ten of Cups, we have what is very reminiscent of the Little Mermaid story. The family of the bride are mermaids. They are in the water. They are in the ocean looking out at the wedded couple, but the wedded couple are on land. I put that detail in because of the callback in the Ten of Cups with that water imagery of the family as mermaids. It's a callback, I feel, to the Two of Swords and the ocean behind the figure that is standing before a fire. Okay. The first three cards, the Queen of Pentacles reversed, the Two of Swords upwards, and the Nine of Coins reversed. The fact that we have the Two of Swords itself, which is a very symmetrical card in and of itself, being put in between two reversed coin cards, two Pentacles cards, the symmetry is undeniable. And the fact is that the Two of Swords is a card of contemplating two separate things, and the pause that comes when we're contemplating multiple things. Like, in order to fully immerse ourselves in the contemplation of things, like, we need some sort of stillness. Even for people who think clearly when they're multitasking, even that multitasking is something that individual has to get used to, and they need to get into some type of flow state. The point is that the Two of Swords is asking you to really sit with, and honestly, all of these 5 cards are asking you to slow down. The paradox here is that the advice for you in how to progress past this denial that you're sitting in, it's actually that you don't need to move. You actually need to slow down in order to really process and feel everything that you're kind of going through. And so what these first 3 cards are saying is that on the one hand, one of the things that you have to stop and really sit with is the misapplication of your resources. That's what the Queen of Pentacles reverse is saying. And specifically what it's saying, because the Queen of Pentacles upwards is a card of the fruit of our labor, but not just our labor. Honestly, it's the fruit of our focus. So anything that we lock into in order to like generate results, like the Queen of Pentacles is talking about the results that we gain from really dedicating ourselves to something. And so the reversal is asking, like, where have you like not used your resources to the best of your ability? And in this case, your resources are your attention, your time, and your energy. Pay attention to the spaces in which you are misapplying your resources. So where your time, your energy, etc. are being funneled, like where they're kind of like just being drained, basically, and or where you have basically made a wrong investment of these things. You're really being asked to spend some time to accept the grief of what that all means. And honestly, the name of the game with these 5 cards with the advice is one of acceptance and surrender to everything that's gone on. And that's what the Queen of Pentacles is saying. There has been something that, like, on one part, it's saying, like, yes, you have misapplied your resources, but for some of you, it also means that, like, there is something that you should have been paying attention to, you should have been honing, you should have been developing, that you didn't. And if you had, you wouldn't be sitting in this misery. You would have something to fall back on, but because you didn't, here you stand. So that's what the Queen of Pentacles is reversed is saying. On the one hand, like the Two of Swords is like, this is one of the things that you have to contemplate. On the other, the Nine of Pentacles upwards is one of wealth. And so reversed, it's the loss of wealth. You really need to sit and accept the fact that you've lost something good. And whether or not it was your fault, that message is going to apply differently. For those of you for who it wasn't your fault, hey, that sucks. But the truth of the matter is you did lose this thing, and it's time for you to accept that. If it was your fault, yes, that first part still applies where you have to accept that you lost this thing, but then you also have the added burden of accepting your own part that you played in you losing that. And so the Nine of Coins reverse is saying the loss of wealth, whatever that means for you, whether it was a wealth of time, of energy, of an actual like good thing. Again, I know that for some of you that also includes a home. For some of you, it's relationships, whatever the case is. You need to accept the fact that, and spend some time processing the fact that you've lost resources, that you've actually, like, take some time to really mourn and grieve everything that you've lost. And so through this acceptance, through accepting the Two of Swords energy of like really taking the time and like accepting stagnancy so that you can really sit with these things, and accepting that like it is going to take some time to like process these things and to get over it. And yeah, that means that you can't progress right now. The only way to progress is to accept these things. And that's why we have the Two of Swords surrounded by these reversals. And then only once we acknowledge these reversals do we move into from the Two of Swords into the Three of Swords. And the thing is that the Three of Swords isn't a very positive, I mean, it's a card of heartbreak. And so the progression here, I'm sad to say, is that like, in order for you to really progress, it is accepting that heartbreak. It's not just accepting what we've been talking about so far with the Queen of Pentacles of like where you've misapplied your resources, But then also accepting the wealth that you've lost. It's also just accepting that all of this fucking sucks and that you're not in a good place and that there's a lot for you to like be sad about and process and etc. etc. The Three of Swords as a progression from the first three cards is basically saying like it's not going to get easy anytime soon and you need to start making your peace with that, because the truth of the matter is you're going to have to go through all this tumultuous shit of acceptance and surrender anyway. So if you get started now, then you're going to get through it faster. If you continue to run away from this, hey, guess what? It's not going anywhere. This work is only going to stay there and it's only going to accumulate and get worse the longer you run from it. And so the Three of Cups is like, you need to start accepting and surrendering the fact that this is not going to be easy and it's not going to get easier anytime soon. But the reason to go through with it is because you actually want and need that relief. Do you really want it? Hey, it's time to start surrendering and accepting some hard shit. Okay, and that's why from the Three of Swords we then move into the Ten of Cups, which is the totality of emotion. And so what this card is saying to me as the conclusion of this whole reading is that this entire lesson is one that is meant to inform you of your full, not just your full range of emotion, but the full range of human experience. There's something about the hardship that you're currently going through that is meant to inform the way that you move in your future. I don't know what that means. It's going to mean something differently for all of you. But like the Ten of Cups at the end is basically telling you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, that there is a genuine, dare I say, divine purpose for why you're going through all of this. And if you really dedicate yourself to it, if you don't waste... Okay, random firework. If you don't continue to waste your time the way that you've done in the past, as these cards have kind of like indicated, good things are coming your way, and it's good things that you'll be able to, it's good things you'll gain access to, it's good things you will be able to recognize only because you've gone through the current hardships that you're sitting in and the hardships and trials that you are being tasked with and asked to maneuver through. This is a really heavy reading. This is very heavy. An energetic hug to all of you. I'm going to ask all of us, regardless of where we're at, to hold some space for everybody else who has been called to this reading, because literally everybody who is being called to this reading, if you're still listening, you're going through some shit, man. And so let's take another 10 seconds now to just pray warmth and love and guidance and protection upon everybody who has been called to this reading. And that'll be the end of this reading. Let's get into those 10 seconds now. My friends, Godspeed. Thank you for being here. And I really hope not only that you make it through all of this successfully and safely, but I also hope that you are called to come back and see me for another reading. Yeah. Bye. Hello, Pile 3, and welcome to your Denial Buster reading. Now, before we get into the reading, I do have to spend some time talking about the reading itself. By definition, denial means that we're not ready to fully accept it. And it is going to take a lot more than a tarot reading to get your psyche and your mind to stop denying this thing and accept it. I know this from personal experience. Any reading that I upload, I do for myself before I do it for y'all. And so when I did this reading for myself this time around, I was immediately like, no, that's not me. And then immediately it was like, it dawned on me that it's, well, that's the point. It's a denial buster. And so I've sat with the reading now, my own reading, a couple of days now. And now that I was looking for evidence of what the reading was pointing out, I was able to find it because I now knew what to look out for. And so all of that being said, in order for this to be as clear a message for you as possible, and so that you can take some time to look for the evidence of this denial, this reading is going to be done in two parts, where this first portion really is meant to only be something for you to confirm that this is your pile. And the second part of the reading will then be the denial buster itself, what we are denying. And whether this first portion is relevant to the denial that you're currently in. It's going to depend. It might resonate with it. It might be relevant to your denial. It might not be. The only purpose of this first portion is for you to confirm that you are at the right reading. And so if this first part is ringing true for you, if that is what is currently going on in your life right now, then hey, welcome to your reading. The denial buster will then be something that you have to like spend some time sitting with. That being said, I also want to just point out that I am recording this portion of the reading before I've even shuffled the cards or looked at what you are denying. And that is for the explicit purpose of making sure that that portion of the reading, the denial, isn't influencing this part of the reading. So that you really do know that you're at the right place. And so all of that being said, the cards that you got were going to be Shift, and then we have the Moon, the Knight of Swords, and the... Ooh, I cannot remember. Hold on, let me see. Yes, the Seven of Cups. Okay, to describe the cards a little bit, Shift itself looks like a bow tie, sort of, like a very triangular bow tie sort of symbol. It's like two triangles on its side with its tips like touching each other. And so it's almost like an infinity symbol made of triangles. So there's a lot of symmetry going on here. And then the moon is a traditional depiction of the moon where we have the moon at the top center, and then we have two canine animals opposite of each other underneath this moon. In this particular deck, one is gray, one is brown. I think that's meant to be symbolic of one being a wolf and one being a domesticated dog. And of course we have the pool at the center and the what in some cases is a lobster. I think other spaces call it a locust. It's meant to be a water creature. And then we have the Knight of Swords, who is on horseback, wielding a sword, like rushing into whatever he's rushing into. And then it's a pip deck, and so the Seven of Cups has 7 cups depicted in it. The interpretation here, I am going to digress on the Shift card. I do want to return to it because I need to talk about the tarot in order for the Shift aspect of it to really make sense. The Knight of Swords is, again, energy of willing to engage in something very courageously, willing to go into some whatever the case is, because you know that you're well equipped to handle anything that you're going to face. And the thing is, the Knight of Swords here, who is very brave and courageous and willing to engage with whatever comes his way, is surrounded by cards of the unknown. The moon itself is a card of illusion or shrouding the truth in some way, shape, or form. The moon, in essence, is the dark of night, and how that darkness really shifts our perspective. Think about how in the darkness of your room, a pile of clothes might look like something else, and in your imagination, whether now or when you were a kid, it doesn't really matter. Like, your imagination was like, oh shit, there's someone on my chair, sitting there in my chair, and then you turn on the lights and it's just your pile of laundry. And so that's what the moon is. It's kind of like the way how darkness can really warp what is really there. And so it can also be about like what's there in the darkness to be discovered. And the Knight of Swords is a card of discovery. And so if we look at it, the Knight of Swords is like heading towards the moon energy, which again is a card of things being shrouded for you to discover. And so there's this huge energy in all of these cards of you very courageously diving into something that either might have scared you in the past or would scare most people. Whatever that might be for you, apply it as it does. The words that keep on coming through with these cards is you going into the unknown. And for those of you who watch cartoon movies, yes, I am getting that from Frozen to whatever. It's a good song. Listen to Into the Unknown. I don't care if you cringe at Disney. Go and listen to it after this reading. I think it has something for you. And then maybe if you're not weird about it, you should also watch Frozen 2. Not because I think it has something for you. It's just a really good movie. At least I think so. Anyways, moving on. The other thing that I want to talk about is how the Seven of Cups, We are using a Marseille deck, which is a different tradition from the Rider-Waite. But in the Rider-Waite tradition, the Seven of Cups is one that is kind of like the moon, in which it speaks of like a shrouded, like not being able to see something clearly. Specifically, the Seven of Cups in the Rider-Waite tradition depicts an overwhelm because there's so much to consider or so much to ponder. There's an overwhelm in the emotional space, and it's almost like a paralyzed by choice type of thing where there's too much to process, and so you're kind of like uh, um, again paralyzed. And so that's what I meant when I said that the Knight of Swords here is flanked and surrounded by cards of this shrouded truth of not being able to see things clearly. But the Knight of Swords remains courageous. The Knight of Swords doesn't really care that he doesn't know where he's headed. He knows that he can trust themselves. They can trust themselves to get themselves through whatever they face. And so here's where we come into the shift energy, where one of two things is going to be true. On the one hand, the shift is talking about maybe the way that you're moving now as the Knight of Swords, engaging with things that you're, into the unknown, basically. It might be a shift from how you've moved in the past, where you're really starting to move in a different way, and it's generating good results. And so that's the second shift that we might be that we're talking about. If that first part isn't true, if you aren't moving, if like this isn't a shift of behavior for you, then the shift that we're talking about is what the Seven of Cups is talking about in the Marseille tradition as it's landing here. Because what I'm getting from the Seven of Cups here is that I'm drawing on the Chariot, which is the seventh major card. And the Chariot is one of progression through effort. We are putting in effort, and because of that effort, we are actually seeing genuine, tangible progress. And so with the cups, it's like emotional stuff. And so the shift that we're talking about is because you are engaging with the unknown, the Knight of Swords into the moon, it is generating tangible results, the Seven of Cups. And specifically tangible emotional results. And so what I'm kind of picking up on here is that you have recently, or for however long, you've been putting in the work of engaging with things that make you uncomfortable, whether that's getting out of your comfort zone or processing and facing certain emotions, certain things that you know that you need to process. Whatever the case is, you've been putting in work in one area or multiple areas, aspects of your life that are generating tangible emotional results, where it might be like emotional relief, it might be emotional release, it might be emotional development, emotional growth. Whatever the case is, that's the shift that's being talked about, where it's like you're putting in work in one area and it's generating genuine positive results, and that's that shift. Okay. I know that that's kind of heady, kind of vague, and I'm assuming that that's because it's meant to be applied to very different situations that people listening in on are currently experiencing. And so if that made sense to you, and if that applies, then hey, hello, welcome to your reading. We will now get into what it is that you are denying. Okay, so before I get into what you are in denial of, I want to remind you that the first part of this reading was pointing out that you are more than capable of handling whatever it is that comes your way, and that you are, in fact, in a space where you're ready to accept these truths. So for some of you, this really is just the reaffirming of what you have an inkling of, whether intuitively or you have like some slight evidence of it tangibly, and so it's like this could be a confirmation, or it really is a true like thing that you are just not aware of, and so now it's time for you to engage with that Knight of Swords energy that we were talking about in that first portion, and dive into this too. Because it is an uncomfortable truth to face. We have the founder. We then have Clover, Man, and Snake. And the cards are very clear here, especially the Lenormand ones. Clover is something temporary, not something that is meant to last. man is an individual that is relevant to us, and snake, I mean, this is a snake. The man, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man, but there's definitely someone that you're engaging with right now. The founder adds the layer of there's someone that you are establishing something with right now. And if it's not an individual, then there is a space in which you are setting up a foundation for yourself. The point is that where you are currently setting up a foundation, or with whom it is that you're setting up a foundation, is not stable, is not safe, isn't viable. It's not sustainable, because this is someone who, or this is a space that can only has the capacity to hold something temporary, does not have the capacity to meet you where you're at, where you are trying to set up a foundation for something long lasting. And that's why we have the founder here. The founder is you. So part of the denial that you're currently dealing with is the fact that you don't want to accept what it might be on some, to some degree. It's that you don't want to accept just how much you want something serious, how much you want something long lasting, how ready you are to set up a genuine foundation for something real, something strong, something that will stand the test of time. And because you're not fully grasping that, you're accepting someone who clearly cannot meet that. Clearly to me, because I'm seeing it in the cards, but obviously it's a denial buster, so it's not clear to you. Sorry for saying clearly. The point is, start looking for the evidence of the fact that where you're trying to set up your foundation is not a good space for it. Acknowledge that you do want something serious. You do want something safe and stable for yourself. So it's time to start also taking seriously where it is that you're setting down roots and where you are investing your time and your energy and whatever other resources. It's time for you to start taking that seriously so that you can really discern where the wisest place for you to place yourself and your resources would be. If this is an individual, the fact that we have snake here, you do need to be careful. If it's a space, yeah, sure, snake still poses some type of danger. But it feels more direct where it is with an individual, and specifically if we're talking about a partnership. Now, I'm saying partnership because I'm talking to those of you who are either in a romantic union with this person or establishing one, or if it's some type of like business endeavor, because that's just as severe. The snake energy here, if it's like a lover, very clear. This is someone you can't trust. This is someone who will not be loyal to you, or worse, might just not respect you or treat you the way that you should be treated. At a business level, if it's talking about business stuff, this is someone who might steal from you. This is someone who might dip when the going gets tough, or, might dip after a week and you're left to do all of the work that you both signed up for. The point is, you need to start looking at this person and or this space honestly, and not through the lens of your hopes and your own desires. And even in some cases, you need to start looking past what they're saying, and you need to start looking at the way that they're moving, their actions. What does that communicate to you? And even if their actions are clear, I mean, here's this reading. If you have this gut instinct about this person who looks perfect, but you just there's something you just don't feel comfortable around them. Honor that. Stop denying that. That's why this is a denial buster. It's like there is this person that is around you that is a snake. At the end of the day, they are going to act like a snake. And I kind of take issue with that. I just have to say, because snakes are wonderful creatures. They are very widely misunderstood, and I hate that they have a negative connotation in Lenormand, but I have to honor the tradition of Lenormand, and in Lenormand, the snake is not a good card. And so, no disrespect to the noble animal, but this person is a snake, and you have to handle them as such. Pretty tough, pretty heavy. That being said, we are going to move into the advice for you, which is the 3 tarot cards. Now, you are the only pile in this upload that got just 3 cards. The first 2 did get 5 cards. I just want to put that out there if that matters to you, or if you came from one of those readings and you're like, why the hell is this one only 3? I don't know. That's what I was called to do. It was only 3 cards that I was called to put down, and that's what I'm doing. So yeah, let's get into what the advice for you is. Okay, so there is so much to say about each of these cards, and so we're going to take our time through them. We have the Eight of Swords, which typically, traditionally, starts to talk about a self-made oppression, an obstacle that we have every capacity to get ourselves out of. But in this particular reading, yes, all of that is true, but what I'm getting specifically is the imagery of how sailors used to tie themselves to the mast or take extreme measures to prepare for the siren call. In the Odyssey, that is something that happens where they know they're going to pass through a certain portion where there are sirens, and they know that these sirens will basically drown them, take them to their deaths. And so they tie themselves to the mast. In essence, what I'm getting from this card is a preparation, not preparation, but like you're okay. These this is the word that's coming through. It's so like robust and very articulate, but you're basically inoculating yourself against temptation. And that is what the Empress reversed on the other side here is saying. The Empress reversed is, in essence, temptation. Something that is not, that presents itself as very alluring. On the surface, it looks really good and you want to go for it. But when you really pay attention, you can tell that this isn't good for you. And it's basically what the denial is all about, like the snake, the individual or the space that you really want to set a foundation up with or in. That's the Empress reverse. So it's like, it looks good, but when you really pay attention, it's not good. And so what we have at the center is the return of the Knight of Swords, but now reversed. And so where at first in the beginning the Knight of Swords was indicating like you're diving into this thing that you don't know anything about, it's like really shrouded. And now like the moon is now talking on something else. It's not so much that you're going into the unknown, which is still true. You're engaging in something that you don't know very much about. But what is there to discover isn't great, as we're now realizing. And that's why the Knight of Swords here reversed as advice is you need to stop engaging with this thing that you know nothing about. You're not aware of just how nimble this person or the people in this space are, and just how dexterous they are capable of being with you. You're not fully aware of just how within its grasp or their grasp you are, and you need to kind of start moving in that way. And so what we've got going on here with the Eight of Swords, it's like, that's why I'm saying you're inoculating yourself against this temptation by acknowledging that this thing that looks good, but it looks, by acknowledging that this looks good, but it isn't for you, is how you then are able to start moving in different ways. But the Eight of Swords, then we have to remember that traditional understanding of it, which is that although this looks like this great trial and tribulation, at the end of the day, you have every capacity to not only face it, but to not be moved by it. If this is an individual that you are like lusting after, and let's keep it there first. If this is an individual that you're lusting after, and it's like, you're being tempted into that, and for whatever reason that you shouldn't, then what is being said here by the Eight of Swords is like, if you grow up a little and realize that you don't have to follow your loins to whatever it wants, and you accept that being mature means prioritizing your well-being over a good time, then it's very easy to just forgo temptation, because it's like, oh, right, I actually respect and care for myself, so I'm not going to put myself through this ringer. Tough love if you need it. And if you already know that, then that's just common sense. Um, moving beyond that, uh, for all of you, regardless of what the temptation here is for you, whether it's an individual or the temptation to establish yourself in a place that just doesn't meet your criteria for what you want, the point is everything that you're going through, as hard as it might seem, the Eight of Swords here, that it's upwards, really indicates you've like it's I don't know if you've seen the meme, but it's like this guy in the first, it's like a two-part image, like two images next to each other, and in the first image it's like this face barely above water, and they look like they're suffering, and it looks like they're drowning, like they're in such distress because their face is barely over the water. And then the second image is a side profile view, and what is revealed is that they're actually sitting in the water, and it's not very deep water, it's very shallow, and their face is only above it because they're laying down. And so it's like this person is drowning in a puddle. And that's kind of what's being said here by the Eight of Swords, is that like if you really pull back and if it's lust, if you get yourself out of your lust, or if it's genuine feelings, if you get yourself out of those feelings, then you look at the big picture and the rational thing, you'll realize like, oh, I this isn't this is easy to walk away from because it's not respectable. This is easy to walk away from because it's not a good deal for me. What I'm trying to point out is if you move in a way, like if you start to respect yourself and love yourself and really advocate for yourself, if you really care about that, then it's easy to see why this isn't a good space. And that's what all of this is trying to point out to you, is that you are currently allowing these things to happen because you are currently not sitting in a space of total self-respect and or self-love. And you need to start putting yourself more into that energy, prioritizing yourself and your well-being over this individual's or this space's. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just you, when you get into that space and you start to move through that lens, or start to like look at life through that lens, all of this starts to become a lot easier to deal with. And so if you feel like you're drowning, it's because you're not prioritizing the right thing. When you start to prioritize yourself and act a little selfishly in this space that is literally chipping away at you and asking too much of you, in this space you like need to be more selfish than when you are, and when you prioritize yourself, and prioritizing yourself isn't selfish, then it's easy to see that there's no space for you here and that you're actually better off getting the fuck out of here. Yeah, dude, I that's all I've got for you. I know that that's kind of tough, but it's not. It's a good thing for you. Like, you need to get the hell away from the snake and this space that like has nothing for you. Start advocating for yourself. Start prioritizing yourself, and your well-being, and the rest becomes very simple. Godspeed. I really hope that this helped. I really hope that it had something for you, and I really hope to catch you at another reading.